Welcome back to our video series on language structures. In this video, we're going to be exploring using comparatives and superlatives in the classroom to really strengthen semantics. Now, if you have not watched my video called Understanding Semantics that I did back week or two ago, be sure to hop back to that first video and watch it because it really lays down the foundation that's necessary to dive into these videos that focus on the individual activities. Now, with that being said, remember, we're diving deep into Scarborough's rope in this video series. So we're focusing on the upper strands of Scarborough's rope, and we're really digging into semantics. And that lives up in the upper strands of the language comprehension strands of Scarborough's rope. So that's kind of where we're digging in deep right now. And we're going to be going in deep to all strands of Scarborough's rope. So you understand how to actually implement these strategies in your classroom and how to actually make them actionable, how to understand what is included or should be taught to support the research behind Scarborough's rope, and how to make it actionable in your classroom. So that's what we're going to be digging into. And today, as I mentioned, we're going to be focusing on semantics, and we're going to be dealing with comparatives and superlatives. Before we jump in very quickly, my name is Anna DiGilio. I was a primary teacher for 23 years. And on this channel, we dig into all things literacy and reading instruction. So if you're new here, I'm so excited to have you here. Please click that little subscribe button and that little bell next to it so you're alerted every time one of my new videos goes live. And if you're not new to my channel, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. Let's jump in. So one important aspect of understanding semantics is really understanding the role of comparatives and superlatives within language. Have you ever wondered why comparatives and superlatives is so important for young readers? That's what we're going to dive into today, and we're going to find out. Comparatives and superlatives really help children describe the world around them. Let's take a look at these apples, for example. Which one is bigger? Why is it appropriate, really, to use the word bigger in the scenario than using the word biggest, using bigger instead of biggest? The word bigger is a comparative word, and it's used when you're comparing two items or two things. The word biggest is a superlative, and it's used to compare more than two things. So when students are learning comparatives like bigger and superlatives like biggest, they can compare objects and really express the differences much more clearly when they're using those different types of words. Understanding these concepts really boosts language skills. So students learn to use more descriptive words, making their speech and their writing so much more vivid and precise. And it also helps young readers really convey their ideas much more effectively. And it really enriches their storytelling, and it makes reading and writing a lot more fun. Plus, it's really a great way to build critical thinking. Comparing objects or actions or events really encourages children to analyze and kind of evaluate, which are really essential skills for their overall cognitive development. The more they do this, the more automatic it actually becomes, reducing the cognitive load that it actually takes to think critically. So now you're kind of starting to see how teaching comparatives and superlatives is important for young learners, and it doesn't have to be complicated or even time-consuming. So I'm going to show you one of the activities that I use to actually teach comparatives and superlatives. Now, if you've watched my previous videos about semantics, you know that I complete a semantics kind of warm-up activity with the students every time we're going to read a new book, when we're bringing out a new decodable or any new book that you're going to read. So they can become familiar with key vocabulary that's going to appear in the book. When a book lends itself to it, I will choose comparatives and superlatives as my kind of quick warm-up activity. Again, that also means that you kind of have to dig into the book a little bit, kind of dig into it, read the storyline, and see like what makes sense, to do a warm-up here for semantics. Does it make sense to talk about a synonym or what synonyms are? Does it make sense to talk about comparatives or superlatives? So you kind of have to dig into the book and do a quick pre-read to know which activity lends itself well to that book when you're teaching semantics and doing a semantics warm-up. So you've got to do a little bit of kind of digging into the book to figure it out kind of before going into the lesson. Let's take this book, The Great Frog Race. It's a decodable book from our Structured Literacy with E.A.S.E program. Now, in this book, one of the key terms that we're going to focus on is the word swift. So it's about a race that students do with frogs. We bring in the word swift into this particular story. First, I'm going to bring up the vocabulary word swift, and I'm going to help define the word for them so they really understand what this focus word is, definitely before we read it. So I'm going to spend a few minutes asking the students to make a list of animals that are known to be swift. Because at this point, they already know what swift means because we've already had a discussion about it. They understand it means fast. So we will take some time and we'll write down some animals that are known to be swift. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have them practice comparing animals that they listed using comparatives and superlatives. So first, I'm going to encourage them to start with the word swift, and then I'm going to have them move to synonyms for the word swift, like fast, faster, or fastest, or quick, quicker, quickest. And maybe for a challenge for those students that need it, I'll encourage them to change the verb completely, entirely, noting maybe which animal is tall, taller, or tallest, or funny, funnier, funniest. So if our partners or our groups of students kind of reach a standstill, I'll maybe encourage them to use a dictionary or a thesaurus to find some more words that there could be synonyms for the focus word. Again, that will take a little bit longer. So you have to think about, the time that you have for this particular activity, because if they're looking up words, it will probably take them a little bit more time. So you have to take that into consideration when you're doing this type of activity. So after the students are working with their partner or in small groups, I'll bring the group or the class back together and I'll ask them to share one way they chose to compare the animals in the group. But they must explain why they used a comparative, such as when they're only comparing two animals, or superlatives when they're comparing more than two animals. So we'll have them share some of their sentences that they wrote and then explain why they used one word over another. Now, activities like this really do not take much time when they're done regularly. So you can really start to see your students using these skills in their daily interactions. I take any chance I can get to plug in this kind of skill into my conversations, like my daily conversations with students. At lunch, I might ask them, who has the redder apple? Or whose lunchbox is the brightest color? These little tiny learning opportunities in casual or daily conversation really help to bolster their authentic use of this particular skill. So there you have it. Give this simple, very quick strategy a try in your classroom. Teaching superlatives and comparatives explicitly really empowers students to become better writers, better readers, better communicators, and critical thinkers. So again, this whole video series is about focusing on those upper strands of Scarborough's reading rope, which is those language comprehension strands. And now we're just dealing with semantics. How to teach semantics in either your small groups or even in your whole group instruction, where you could do these quick little bursts of instruction, kind of like little mini lessons, as like a jumping off point to the decodable books that you're using for your lessons, right? It's a great way to infuse that vocabulary development using semantics in your lessons with your students. So I really hope this gives you just a quick overview of how you can use comparatives and superlatives in a quick little mini lesson as a jumping off point to using your decodable book to really help with that language development. Again, focusing on the upper strands of Scarborough's rope. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Keep watching because we're going to continue on this series of understanding semantics and how to teach it within your small group or your whole group instruction that are all aligned to the science of reading. So thank you so much for watching. And again, remember, please click that subscribe button and that little bell next to it if you want to be alerted every time one of my new videos goes live. And remember, it doesn't take full-blown lessons to enhance critical thinking skills. These simple little strategies and these simple little mini lessons can do just the trick to really bolster vocabulary development and really helping you focus on those upper strands of Scarborough's reading rope. So thanks so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.